With over 20 studios in towns and cities across the West, this is Shaw TV, your local voice.
Welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in now, we're at NAIT at the Digital Media and IT Expo that the students are putting on, and this board belongs to Justin Evans. He's coming up shortly. He did an incredible documentary on a man whose story will blow you away. But before we get to that, we have Taylor to talk about her board. You did a living roof, and that's pretty in white and blue and all those colors. Tell us what a living roof is.
Okay, so it's basically sort of like an environmentally friendly alternative to a traditional roof.
Okay.
So it's you're going to save on your
bills, heating bills perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. Just 'cause it's like natural insulation.
And are you going to put flowers on people's roofs or grass or bushes or trees? No, you can't really get a tree up there, can you?
It might be a little heavy. Yeah, it's really up for anything you'd like, so it's super customizable too.
I see. And have you seen any living roofs here in Edmonton?
Unfortunately, not yet, but
It'd be nice to
hopefully
see a
it'll be
couple.
thing.
Yeah. Well, and they'd come to you to help design it, right?
Yeah, I'd really like that.
Well, thank you very much, Taylor. Up next, Tim Dancy is looking into an esteem building program for our Aboriginal students.
At the Prince Charles School in Edmonton, grades 3 to 6 students annually compete in a week-long Aboriginal history quiz, a part of their curriculum in a school comprised of mostly Aboriginal and Métis students, where Cree is the second language rather than French.
You get to learn about Louis Riel, you get to learn about the Aboriginals, and just all sorts of stuff that involves Aboriginal history.
The questions are how much do you know about your culture in this place?
The quiz concept is part of encouraging these kids to pursue education.
So they have 50 questions that they study over a 3-week period.
Why did the bull or cow moose not smoke the pipe that came to them?
Are you winning?
No.
I think what it does is it just gives them confidence in not only in themselves personally, but in knowing who they are and where they come from. It really gives them a nice, clear connection, so that when we study social studies, for example, in class, and we talk about the history of Canada, which is very relevant, especially in grade 4 and 5, they identify with that. Now they recognize the terminology, the language, the history of their culture.
The kids certainly seem to enjoy it, despite being a little nervous about the attention.
Well, I think they're individual students. I'm surprised at the amount of studying that they do, because maybe sometimes they don't study quite that much in the classroom, but during the quiz week, they're into it.
In fact, more and more Aboriginal students graduate high school and enter post-secondary schools. It's a slow but improving trend.
Although more Aboriginal students are showing up at that end of the educational spectrum, not enough are coming. And so initiatives like the Aboriginal History Quiz speak to that, making those children aware of their future.
We have a lot of students who do go on to secondary education and who graduate, and they come back and visit the school and they tell us about the things that they're doing. So it's certainly motivation to keep them going. I think it's extremely important. I think it has a lot to do with who they are and how they think of themselves and how they see the world.
Kelly.
Louis Riel, turtle.
Modern kids learning about their thousands of years old culture.
They couldn't watch TV. They had to use dog sleds to transfer, and it's really cool.
Back in September, they're saying, when is the quiz? When is the quiz? So.
Tim Dancy, Shaw TV, Capital Region.
Thanks very much for that, Tim. We're now joined by our first student. This is video production student Justin Evans, and we're standing beside his board. So first off, tell us what you did for your big project.
Well, we have a capstone project at the end of each year, and what we did this year was one called Journey of Gentle Wind. I don't have any pictures of it on the board here. This was just a project that I developed for a producer class here, but our final capstone project is sort of a combination of industry projects that works with NAIT. So we had a documentary that was being directed by Stephen Ashworth that was brought to Steve Chattergoon. And then through the chair program at DMIT, we sort of arranged it and everybody got a role in the production. They had some mentors, so everybody got to learn real jobs, on-the-job learning. So it was a lot of work and very busy, but we had a great time.
And out of all the jobs that you tried out, which is your forte? Which is the one that you most gravitated towards?
I usually gravitated towards the pre-production and more of the producing side. I did unit production manager on our final project, and I directed and produced a video for the Glenrose Hospital in my 3rd semester. It was a Link 6 sound test, so it was a video to help instructions for parents and kids that have hearing problems and cochlear implants and things like that. So it's just a video that they'll be using to help promote better awareness about that and how to do that.
Did you get to work with any kids with hearing impairments?
Yeah, actually, you can see in the pictures here on the top left, and then the bottom one there, that was our full crew. Sorry, I turned away from you.
No, that's okay. Right down here, Jake, this is the full crew. And look at, there's Justin right in the middle.
Yeah,
that must have been an amazing project.
That was a lot of fun. Working with the kids was a challenge at times, but they were a lot of fun to work with. They were all really great. And they all have hearing impairment issues and cochlear implants and things like that, but they were just, it's amazing to see them being able to know how that works and learning a little bit of what they'd go through on a daily basis and how that all happens. And they were just phenomenal. Like, you wouldn't have known that they were normal kids. They were
Well,
just
they
perfect.
are normal kids. They
are.
just have a slight impairment, and that's so great that you could help them out in such a huge way.
Yeah, well, we hope that the video goes out to help parents and other people to give awareness. And obviously, it was a great project to work with NAIT and Glenrose. And then again, it's just a really interesting program, the video and then all the other streams as well. And deem it really a great way to learn this industry.
Through this course that you had 2 years, hardcore, 4 semesters, you did the hearing impairment project as one of your projects, but in every project, seems like you worked in a group atmosphere. You must have learned a lot of team leadership skills and how to work in a group really well.
That's probably one of the biggest things with video production, is you learn that the industry is a very collaborative industry. Nobody ever works alone.
Nope.
Even when you're doing work by yourself, eventually you have to bring in other people, and you have to be willing to work with them and get ideas from other people. And it's just, that's the part I really like about it, because for one, it's hard for me to come up with things all by myself, and when you're with other people, you get that, you know, brainstorming and come up with more and more.
It makes the job so much more fun and so much more enthusiastic when you can bounce ideas with other people and brainstorm together as a group. Exactly. You did the hearing impairment project, but let's go back to the documentary for a little bit, because I thought that was very interesting. So give our viewers a little more insight into what the documentary was about.
Sure. Well, it's a documentary called The Journey of Gentle Wind, and it's being directed by Stephen Ashworth, and it's about a man named Ted Dallaire. He was a Native man that grew up in Ontario and grew up in the foster care system. I think he was, don't quote me on the numbers, but something about like 40 to 50 foster homes in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and despite all that and his incredible journey throughout all that, and it was really tough on him as a kid, he still grew up to become a foster parent as an adult.
Wow.
And his advocacy was that when you take a foster kid, it's not just temporary, it's a permanent thing. It's like you're accepting them into your family, they're part of your family. And so all of the kids that him and his wife later on in life, and she's the one that brought this to the project after he passed away.
Okay, so he's no longer with us.
Yes, so he passed away of cancer, and the video is sort of his last wish. He wrote a story, and his wife is sort of bringing it to spread his word, and that, you know, all kids, foster kids, anybody in the system, Native, whatever, what have you, they deserve to be with a family that loves them.
What's the biggest part you got for yourself out of that project?
Just learning the different adversities of what kids go through in foster care, especially Native kids, because there's a much higher percentage, especially in Canada. And it was just amazing to see what he went through and what he came out to be, what he championed at the end of his life, and it was really cool.
Justin, can our viewers find that documentary anywhere online?
Currently not right now, it's in editing. We're finishing it all up, and then there's going to be some screenings, and I think our director wants to submit it to some festivals, but eventually keep your eye out, Journey of Gentle Wind, and it'll be out there.
Well, let us know, because we'd love to get the word out to everyone.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, Justin. We'll be right back after this.